Hello everybody and welcome back to Kerbal Space Program, where last episode we put this insane comsat into its tundra orbit and we got the survey scanner surveyed around Gilly. So that's absolutely great, but we have two more objectives. Two? Yeah, two more objectives still to achieve with this. So let's warp on forward. Our first objective is we need to do a rendezvous. So we're just going to head around. We really probably should have done it at this node, but here's where we are, and that's absolutely fine. So we're going to hop on around here, and we will hopefully be kind of close. Kind of close. Let's go ahead and warp around, and yeah, we'll be in position here. T-minus 12 seconds is our target point. We're close enough, so that looks fine. Okay, and we arrived at basically the perfect time. We are now burning. I don't think this is actually going to flip. As in, I don't think that we are actually going to flip our directionality here. Yeah, it did not flip our directionality. So we're going to be going this direction, which is quite correct. We need to cut this off. This is good enough. And yeah, that looks good. So now we need to do a rendezvous. And we have very different... Oh, right, that's very sensitive. We have very different orbits here. So we just need to choose a good time for this. It's going to be interesting trying to rendezvous because this is so close to the edge of the sphere of influence, but that is overall fine. We're just going to need to... Oh, this is so sensitive. This is going to be interesting. Okay. Let's bring this guy around to, like, over here. And let's see what that looks like. That's much closer. Yeah, that looks pretty solid right there. So that timing looks pretty good. And that's 0.6 kilometers. Honestly, that's close enough. I'm going to start rotating us over. It's probably going to change on us, as it has been doing, but that's okay. So it's going to take us 3 meters per second to get there. This is a 3-second burn time, which is fine. But we need to be pretty cautious about it. I might just turn down our thrust limiter a little bit more. To like 0.5% for right now. Not 0%. 0.5%. There we go. So that's a 35-second burn. I think that's acceptable. Let's go ahead and warp. This is going to move on us, so I'm not too concerned about getting it, like, super accurate right now. So we just need a rendezvous within visual range, which is 2 kilometers. Do we have to kill the... Okay, we have to kill their relative velocity. That's fine. Not a big deal. The relative velocity is going to be 2.1 meters per second. I don't mind. So we're angling for T-minus 19 seconds here, I think. No, 17.5 seconds. Math is very difficult, apparently. Okay, so we're going to be burning this right about now. Now, we're not exactly on the node, but we can use our gimbaling to turn us the rest of the way. We're pretty close. This should be good enough. So let's bring this right on out here. It's going to be a kind of lengthy burn, but I want to hit it pretty precisely because we really don't want to overshoot this. That's why we're burning so slowly right now. Okay, about 0.5 meter per second. We can see the node is shifting on us. Not terribly surprising. Okay, I'm going to call that good enough. That is a separation of 0.9 kilometers. Sounds good. Let's move into target mode, and we're going to go to relative velocity minus, but we're not going to have a lot to work with here. Let's get this turned, but we don't really care too much. Let's actually warp up to here. So that's about a day in the future. And we're going to be a lot closer to this satellite by then. Okay, so about 2 meters per second here. So really, this would be close enough, right? 0.9 kilometers is within visual range, in theory. Let's move this around to relative velocity minus. And I'd like to bring this in just a smidge closer, but I just wanted to get us mostly oriented in the correct direction. Now let's position about an hour in the future. This is on 4x time acceleration. Let's make that a little faster. There we go. 1000x will definitely work better. Okay, so now we can see this is the anti-target node, and this is the relative velocity minus node. So our turn speed is very low. That's not terribly surprising. And I'd like to do just a very gentle corrective burn out over here. So what this is doing is this is bringing our separation a bit closer together. Okay, I'm just trying to turn us a little bit here. We're still doing the corrective burn. The separation is actually getting further apart, so that means that we need to warp in further here. We're too far out at this moment. So let's warp in a few minutes closer. We're still close enough here, theoretically. Okay, how long until we get there? This is going to be like, we're currently like 15 minutes out. I can't zoom in any closer than this, unfortunately, but I'm going to take us forward about another 7 minutes here. Okay, so now what we need to do is we need to basically burn, I think, at the target here, because these are very far apart. So I'm going to bring this up to target here. And that should start bringing our separation. Let's bring it up right now. That's interesting. I didn't expect that to be bringing it up. That's very interesting. The core reason why I'm struggling a bit with this is simply because we're simply just very slow, right? 1.6 meters per second means there's not a lot to work with. And our relative velocity minus node and our target node are extremely close together, which is why I was trying burning at target there to try to push that around towards the target minus node. But honestly, I think I'm just going to warp forward here about 4 minutes. And are we within visual range at this point? Yes, we are. I'm just going to kill our relative speed. This should be close enough. If it's not, we can burn towards target, which is right here. So that's very, very close. So 0.5, 0.4, 0.3, 0.2, 0.1, and that's probably good enough. We'll point at target, but contract parameter complete. So there we go. Our exploration of Gilly is now done, and we just have this contract, which we can't do due to timing. But at this point, all we need to do is we need to bring this back around to orbital prograde, which is very conveniently located, actually. We don't need to be here anymore. That is this objective complete. Let's get out of here. So now we're going to exit Gilly. As you can see here, we've got a Gilly escape. I'm just going to bring that up a little bit. And what is this doing to our resulting orbit? It's pushing it out. I'll just leave it like this for now. We're going to want to adjust our orbit significantly, but we're also going to want to bring up our thrust limiter. How close are we? This is not going to be a collision course. Okay, good. So let's go ahead and warp to our exit, which is, that's in 18 days. That's in 2 hours. Cool. Farewell, Comsat. We will not be back. Our objective there is complete. So let's get out of Gilly. And I want to put this in a polar orbit of Eve. Now, we don't have to be perfect on the polar orbit, but let's just go ahead and center this on Eve. And if we want to bring it up to a polar orbit, we're going to want to set our camera here, add a maneuver approximately right there, and then bring it right on up. Now the question is, do we want it in this phase or not? I want to get more retrograde? Yes, for sure. Okay, so something approximately like that. I'm going to grab a straight edge here and just try to get it relatively straight on my monitor. We're just eyeballing this, so it doesn't have to be perfect if I can actually get this lined up a little bit. I'm working on it. Okay, looks like we need to take it very slightly this way. That looks pretty close. It's not quite perfect, but it's close enough. Okay, so this would be the resulting orbit, and that's fine. I don't care about that. We've got plenty of delta V here. It's going to be a little low on this periapsis side, but we'll fix it later. That sounds good to me. So let's continue to head over towards the node here. That's going to be in about 10 days. And we are unthrust limited, so that seems fine. Let's just get this into its final orbit. We're looking at 3 burns. So we'll get this one completed first. This will be the bigger of the 3, I think. But let's go ahead and warp around. Bringing up that periapsis is going to be fairly expensive, but we're going to be ditching all of this mass, so that'll be nice. So yeah, this is not going to be a perfectly polar orbit, but it'll be good enough. We do have Flight Engineer on this, so we'll be able to see what our inclination is, and I might try to dial it in with that a little bit, just try to target 90 degrees exactly. We'll see. We will see. So we can burn this basically any time. T minus 21 seconds is our target here. But we're not, like... This is not going to be perfectly timed, no matter what. I'm going to commence this burn now, and we can see our inclination is rising. That's 13 degrees, 14 degrees, 15. Currently, this is a primarily retrograde burn, and that's understood. I could have dialed it in a little bit better, but we have so much DV on this, I just didn't care to mess with it. So what that would have involved is less retrograde and more normal, but I would have had to bounce back and forth between the two as we were setting it up quite a lot. As it is, this is fine. As you can see, this is starting to flip, and we're up to 65 degrees, 70. That's 80 degrees. 87, 88, 89, and I'm going to thrust limit. Down to like 1% thrust. Okay. 0.7. 0.8. 0.9. And let's get this last a little bit here. I'm going for exactly 90. So that's 0.97. 0.98. 0.99. And 90.00. We'll call that good. So that's good on the inclination. Now we need to move over towards prograde. We're basically at the apoapsis right now. So let's orient and let's push this right on out. Our inclination might alter a little bit as we do this, but it's close enough. So now what we need to do is about here. That's in like 10 minutes. We can make that be slightly sooner, about like that. I just want to push this guy right on out, and that would be roughly circularized, but we need to push it quite a bit further than that. I want this to be a minimal orbit, very close to escape velocity, but not quite there, which would be about here. We can target about 84 million, and that'll give us a little bit to work with. There, we'll call that good. And then we'll need to do a burn here to raise the periapsis similarly, but that looks fine. This is going to be a 7-minute burn, so we can get started on it basically now. I don't mind starting it at this moment. And wait a second. It would help if I unthrust limit this. Now it's going to be more like a 2-minute burn. That makes more sense. Let's go ahead and warp forward the little bit of time that this will be. We can lock to the node. So 1 minute and 11 seconds is our designated burn time here. Let's go ahead and warp forward a little bit. 30, 20, and mark. We're going to need to ditch this stage. And this last section of the burn will be significantly more extensive. And we're not surprised about that. Now, again, we can optimize this if we want to. It's not really necessary here, but we can jettison some of these tanks and not others. We'll see what it's looking like after we finish that. This is just very loud. So actually, we're nice and zoomed out right now, so that seems okay. Cool. So I'm going to physics warp as we burn this. It's not hugely high thrust to weight on this stage, so it's going to take a little bit of time. So that's all looking good. We are circularized now and pushing that apoapsis right on out. We've got about 100 meters per second left to go here. Okay, coming out of physics warp. 30 meters per second left. 20. 10. About 1-ish meter per second left. I'll call that good. We slightly overshot, technically, but we also kind of undershot. I don't care. It's good enough. So that seems fine. We'll hop over to the apoapsis, and let's just burn this. So we're just looking to circularize this up and not hit escape trajectory. Honestly, this is probably good enough. Although, maybe we need to change the timing a little bit. Or... that's just a little awkward, but this is probably good enough. We could maybe toss in a little radial, though. Man, that radial really wants to kick us out, doesn't it? That's a little bit better there. No, this is just not working. Okay, let's just go ahead and do this, and then do... Yeah, that really wants to reach escape velocity up there awkwardly. I think I'm going to call this good enough. It doesn't need to be perfectly circular. We don't need to hit 0 eccentricity. We don't need to hit exactly 90-degree inclination. It just needs to be good enough. And this is. So let's call that good enough. And let's head on over to the node. We should turn much faster now. I also want to check in on these. So one thing we can do is we can pin open all of these tanks. Like this. I don't know that we're actually going to burn enough fuel to do this, though. We've only got 117 meters per second to burn left here, right? So what we need to do is we need to get like these two. We need to flow this fuel in. That's a little awkward, isn't it? It is. But we'll do it like this anyway. And then we'll close that and then stop here. Flow the fuel in here. Okay. So that seems fine. We're currently fueling up this one here. So we would need to fuel up this one as well. This is taking a little bit. Kind of on the slow side. And we can just get rid of this hemispherical liquid fuel tank. It's empty. We don't care about it anymore. This hemispherical liquid fuel tank here, I think we also don't care about. This one is the one we do want to have filled. So let's go ahead and move this in, and I'm just going to warp a little bit to make that go a little faster. There we go. So that's now full. We can close that for the moment, and then we would flow in here, but we don't quite have enough. Yeah, we don't quite have enough to jettison any of this. I don't think that this will get to that state either. Let's go ahead and warp forward, and that'll be fine for now. We can check our fuel levels after this, but this is probably all we're going to have. So that seems fine. We're on our way up to this minimal apoapsis. I say minimal, it's kind of a maximal apoapsis. And we do have this debris here being awkward, but wait, is that actually in a decaying orbit? No, I don't think it is. No, there's no way. It can't be in a decaying orbit. Okay, final objective. Let's put this thing in a polar orbit around Eve. So we can commence this burn literally any time here, and I'm going to warp forward until T-minus 15. So that's 40, 30, 20, and 17, 16, 15. Okay, let's get this burn completed. We've got 30 seconds of it. I'm just going to zoom the camera out a little bit so that that engine is slightly less loud. There we go. That should do just fine. And we'll keep an eye on our orbit. We just don't want to see escape velocity, and we shouldn't. Okay. Now, the other thing that we can do here is we can go to the apoapsis here, and we can just fine-tune this periapsis a little bit better. Our timing just wasn't perfect previously, which is why we couldn't do it in a singular burn. But if we move it around to there, that should be nearly perfectly circularized and at pretty much the maximum. So that's only 2.2 additional meters per second. Let's go ahead and position for that. In addition, I want to head over here, and we can make sure that these fuel tanks get filled up with this. So I'm going to do this. There we go. And then I'm going to hop over here, and where's the other fuel tank here? This one comes from here. There we go. Seems good. Then, of course, we need to make sure that these tanks get filled properly. So I'm going to pin open that one, and we can go to here, and we can go out. 21.38. And then we can go to here, pin that open, come here, go out. If I did this correctly, this should be at 21.41. It's close. It's probably close enough. So that should be fine. We're not quite ready to jettison these yet, and we probably won't be when we get this 2.2 meters per second done. This is not very much at all. I'm going to thrust limit this down a little bit to like 2% thrust. That's a little too much. 10% thrust? Yeah, that looks good. And let's warp this right on around. 9 days, and we'll just get this thing in its final orbit. So that looks good. This should give us very solid coverage of the inner solar system at this point. I do plan on putting more comsats up eventually. One more comsat around Eve, and then 2 around Moho would be probably more than sufficient for the inner system. So 50 seconds, 40, 30, 20, 10, and we're aiming for 2.5. So, mark. I'm not quite happy with that yet. Very, very minor here. I'm going to call that good enough. Overshot it very slightly, but that's good enough. Eccentricity of 0.0001 and inclination of 89.96. Now, if we wanted to make those exact, I would do an inclination change here. I don't care. It's close enough. So let's head on back to the Space Center at this point, and let's take a look at what we have for our next exploration contract. Our next, like, big contract. It's probably going to start focusing on Duna soon, right? Orbital spacewalk near Eve. Rendezvous 2 vessels in orbit of Eve. I mean, we gotta get it done at some point. Science data from space around Minmus, we can do that right now. No problem there. Nothing needs to happen to get that completed. Otherwise, a satellite in a stationary orbit of Duna is not a bad idea. We can start sending some comsats out there. We need to be in a stationary orbit directly above this particular sector, though. That means that we have to worry about the timing of entering that orbit. I don't know that I want to worry about that. But I do want to start going to Duna. I'll think about it. For now, it's time to put a cut in here, so I'm going to go ahead and do that. And next episode, we're probably going to go do our spacewalk around Eve. That'll need to be a manned mission, and then we can just rendezvous with that comsat that we just put up on the way back, or something along those lines. You can leave your offerings to the engagement gods in the form of likes, comments, subscribes, and bell ringings, and a very special thank you to all of the channel members for making this video possible, including ALS Gamer, Dark Horse, Ethan Feldman, Thylo K, Thosmos VR, Upper Cumberland Gamers, Nick Smarty, Punching the Microphone, The Lounge STL, Spock, Moonfall, and all the rest. And of course, you. Thank you for watching. If you'd like to support the channel, you can click the join button down below the video, and as always, I will see you all next time.